The Millionaire and the Beggar, a story of a black man's journey. Sofia Mendes stood at the corner of bustling Market Street in San Francisco, her eyes scanning the crowd like a hawk. At 24, she wore the uniform of a clothing store saleswoman, simple blouse, faded jeans. But inside, a storm brewed. Everyone saw the bright smile she forced every day, but only she knew the weight crushing her chest. Her mother, Lucy, waited at their tiny apartment, battling health problems and bills that piled like mountains. Sofia's dreams, they felt miles away, buried beneath fluorescent lights and racks of clothes nobody cared to buy. But then there was the other Sofia. Late at night, in the glow of her chipped laptop screen, she slipped on a new skin, a fashion consultant with thousands of followers, sparkling with confidence, advice dripping like gold. The city never paused. Outside, the streets buzzed with life. Inside, her fingers danced over the keyboard, stitching together a world far from the stale air of retail. Her videos caught fire. Comments poured in, and one name popped up. A man who seemed pulled straight from a glossy magazine. Gabriel Carter, a sharp-dressed businessman from New York City, dripping in wealth and mystery. His messages were a lifeline, his voice a melody over late-night calls. The kind of man who buys jets, yet somehow paused to listen to a girl from the other side of the country. Their romance exploded, passion sharp and consuming as a wildfire. Dates in the city's chicest restaurants, whispered promises under the Bay Bridge's glow. Then came the ring, flashing like a star in her trembling hand. "Marry me, Sofia," he said, eyes blazing honestly. It was a fairy tale, too perfect. The honeymoon in Miami was a rush of sun and laughter, a paradise snatched from dreams. But soon, Gabriel's brow furrowed. The little things didn't line up. The stories Sofia told, the times she disappeared, the way her smile flickered when he asked questions. An old saying echoed in his mind. When something's too perfect, there's always a crack. One night, under the dizzy pink sky of Miami's coast, he confronted her. Her breath caught, her hands trembled. The secrets tangled in her past, shadows she had buried deeper than anyone knew, now clawed their way to the surface. Not just white lies, whole worlds of falsehood, built like a house of cards on a fragile dream. Gabriel's eyes searched her face, desperate for truth. Sofia felt the weight of every lie crashing down. The love they shared, fierce and raw, now hung in the balance. Could she admit the fractured pieces of her life? Could she risk shattering his trust? Or was she doomed to drown in the web she had spun? The silence stretched, thick and suffocating. Around them, life filled the streets with music and chatter. But inside, time stopped. The question burned between them. Was this love strong enough to survive the storm? Or would the past tear them apart, leaving only ashes behind? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. A lot of subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without warning. Just take a quick look at that red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any of the exclusive content coming your way. And while you're here, hit that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact." The silence stretched, thick and suffocating. Around them, life filled the streets with music and chatter. But inside, time stopped. The question burned between them. Was this love strong enough to survive the storm? Or would the past tear them apart, leaving only ashes behind? Just as the weight of Sofia's lies hung heavy in the air, a blaring siren shattered the moment. Gabriel's phone vibrated wildly on the table. Curious, he glanced at the screen. An unknown number. He felt a knot twist in his stomach, something urgent in the way the phone buzzed. "Wait," he said, his voice barely a murmur. "Let me take this." He stepped away, his heart pounding. Sofia watched him walk, shadows growing longer, tension thick as fog. He answered, his brows furrowing deeper with each word. The voice on the other end rattled off details, each one harsher than the last. "Mr. Carter," it said, a breathless urgency slicing through the air. "You need to come to the hospital. It's your father. He's been in an accident." Shock rippled through Gabriel. He gripped the phone tighter, knuckles white. "What? How? Is he? Just come! It's serious!" He hung up, eyes wide, his entire world collapsing around him. Sofia felt it too. The joyous spark between them dimmed to gray, and the heat of confrontation froze. Everything she'd battled with in her life, the lies, the facade, seemed trivial against the reality shaking Gabriel. "Gabriel!" Her voice trembled, but he didn't answer. He was already spinning on his heel, racing down the street. She hesitated, heart aching. Should she follow? But something deeper held her back. Self-doubt, fear. She stood still, paralyzed by the shift in the tide. Without him, everything felt uncertain, like the universe was realigning itself. Then, as if on cue, another jarring sound cut through her confusion. A loud bang echoed behind her. Instinctively, she turned, eyes wide. A taxi had swerved onto the sidewalk, slamming against a street vendor's cart, sending colorful fabrics and fresh produce flying. A crowd gathered, gasps and cries competing with honking horns. Panic erupted, confusion bleeding into dread. In that instant, with chaos unfolding around her, Sofia spotted a familiar face in the crowd. A woman, fierce and determined, shoulders squared, pushing through the people with a familiar fire. Maya, her estranged sister, stood there, eyes locked on Sofia. They hadn't spoken in years. Nothing but shadows of resentment and unspoken words lay between them. "Maya?" Sofia gasped. But before she could reach out, Maya's eyes softened, then hardened, scanning the havoc around them. And just like that, she turned, moving deeper into the masses. It felt like a dream, one where treasures of the past slipped through her fingers, lost in the chaos. Then a shout rang out. "Call 911! Someone's hurt!" Sofia was torn, heart racing. Gabriel was gone, her sister was leaving, and now this. Confusion gripped her. Could she really let life spiral out of control? She took a step forward, but her legs felt heavier than lead. The weight of everything, the secrets, the past, crushed down hard. Would she just become another ghost, lost in the noise? Would she have to confront Maya? Was the truth worth the risk, or would it drive everyone away? The emergency lights flashed like a beacon, and the sound of sirens pulled her focus. The city was alive, but so was her fear of being stranded in her own facade. As panic spread like wildfire, she felt something break inside her. And in that moment, everything shifted again, dramatically, leaving her standing on the precipice of a world reset, a future unknown yet looming like a storm. What was about to unravel? Would the truth rise from the ashes, or would it bury them all? Sofia stood frozen, the chaos around her blurring into a dizzying haze. She felt the urgency swell with every scream and shuffling footstep. Gabriel had vanished, racing into a world where her secrets couldn't follow. But now she was left with this swirling storm. The taxi, the crowd, the memories of Maya. Maya, she whispered, but her sister was gone, lost in the sea of confusion. She felt a sharp ache in her heart, a ripple of regret, just as fierce as the sirens wailing. In the distance. Then, a scream cut through everything. A shrill, blood-curdling shout that froze her in place. Eyes wide, Sofia turned back toward the cluster of people. A woman, just beyond the edge of the commotion, staggered backward, her face pale. "I can't breathe. Someone help." Sofia's instincts kicked in, her heart racing. She pushed through the crowd, desperation guiding her steps. As she reached the front, she recognized the woman, the shock hitting her like a tidal wave. It was her mother, Lucy. "Mom, what happened?" Sofia cried, fear gripping her throat. Lucy clutched her chest, eyes wide with panic. It's too much. I can't. Sofia." Panic soared through Sofia like a jolt of electricity. "Someone call 911, she screamed, but her voice was drowned out by the chaos. Suddenly, she felt a hand grip her wrist. It was Maya, face set in determination. "We need to get her out of here." "Why are you here?" Sofia's voice trembled as she stared at her sister, the anger and hurt bubbling to the surface. "Focus on Mom. We can talk later." Maya's voice was fierce. Together, they gently moved Lucy away from the crowd, urgency propelling them through the mass of bodies. As they reached the sidewalk, the reality of the moment hit hard. Lucy's breathing was shallow, her face pale. "Mom, please hold on," Sofia begged, tears streaming down her cheeks. This was the woman who raised her, the part of her chaotic world. In that frantic rush, everything warped, time slowed, and the worries of her past faded. But just as the paramedics arrived, casting a net of lights and calm through the storm, something shattered the moment. From behind them, a man stepped forward, tall, with a heavy jaw and eyes that screamed distaste. It was Gabriel's father, Richard Carter, a figure cloaked in an aura of authority. "What is going on?" he barked, shoving past onlookers. "Stay back!" Sofia shot, protective instincts roaring. But his gaze locked on her mother, furious and assessing. "I don't have time for this," he snapped, his presence suffocating. "Gabriel is in there, and if anything happens to him..." The threat hung heavy, in the air, like smog. "Your son is the least of our worries," Maya countered, stepping in between them. "Can't you see she needs help?" Richard's expression twisted with disdain, eerily calm. "You think your family matters here? This isn't some storybook. You're nothing but a beggar in my son's world." Sofia felt the breath leave her body. Everything she tried to build, every lie spun, shattered like glass. The truth about Gabriel's love and wealth felt like a lie itself. A chain tightening around her throat. And then, in a sickening twist, she caught sight of something peeking from Richard's jacket. A familiar flash of gold that glimmered under the streetlights. It was the same ring, the one Gabriel had given her. "What is happening?" Sofia whispered, realizing the darkness hovering over her fairy tale. Was he more than just a businessman? What secrets lay tangled in their lives? She stood on the brink of ruin and revelation, the weight of everything crashing down. Would the truth break her, or could it finally set her free? Sofia stood frozen, the chaos around her blurring into a dizzying haze. She felt the urgency swell with every scream and shuffling footstep. Gabriel had vanished, racing into a world where her secrets couldn't follow. But now, she was left with this swirling storm. The taxi, the crowd, the memories of Maya. "Maya," she whispered, but her sister was gone, lost in the sea of confusion. She felt a sharp ache in her heart, a ripple of regret, just as fierce as the sirens wailing in the distance. Then, a scream cut through everything, a shrill, blood-curdling shout that froze her in place. Eyes wide, Sofia turned back toward the cluster of people. A woman, just beyond the edge of the commotion, staggered backward, her face pale. "I can't breathe. Someone help!" Sofia's instincts kicked in, her heart racing. She pushed through the crowd, desperation guiding her steps. As she reached the front, she recognized the woman, the shock hitting her like a tidal wave. It was her mother, Lucy. "Mom, what happened?" Sofia cried, fear gripping her throat. Lucy clutched her chest, eyes wide with panic. It's too much. I can't." "Sofia!" Panic soared through Sofia like a jolt of electricity. "Someone call 911!" she screamed, but her voice was drowned out by the chaos. Suddenly, she felt a hand grip her wrist. It was Maya, face set in determination. "We need to get her out of here. Why are you here?" Sofia's voice trembled as she stared at her sister, the anger and hurt bubbling to the surface. "Focus on Mom. We can talk later." Maya's voice was fierce. Together, they gently moved Lucy away from the crowd, urgency propelling them through the mass of bodies. As they reached the sidewalk, the reality of the moment hit hard. Lucy's breathing was shallow, her face pale. "Mom, please hold on," Sofia begged, tears streaming down her cheeks. This was the woman who raised her, the heart of her chaotic world. In that frantic rush, everything warped. Time slowed, and the worries of her past faded. But just as the paramedics arrived, casting a net of lights and calm through the storm, something shattered the moment. From behind them, a man stepped forward, tall, with a heavy jaw and eyes that seemed to burn. It was Richard Carter, Gabriel's father, a figure cloaked in authority. "What is going on?" he barked, shoving past onlookers. "Stay back," Sofia shot, protective instincts roaring, but his gaze locked on her mother, furious and assessing. "I don't have time for this," he snapped, his presence suffocating. "Gabriel is in there, and if anything happens to him..." The threat hung heavy in the air. "Your son is the least of our worries," Maya countered, stepping in between them. "Can't you see? She needs help." Richard's expression twisted with disdain, eerily calm. "You think your family matters here? You're nothing but a beggar in my son's world." Sofia felt the breath leave her body. Everything she tried to build, every lie spun, shattered like glass. The truth about Gabriel's love and wealth felt like a lie itself, a chain tightening around her throat. Then came a crack, a loud noise that made everyone jump. A figure emerged from the crowd, pushing through with a frantic energy. It was a man in a hospital uniform, fear painted across his face. "Mr. Carter, we need you. Now. It's your wife. She's been in a serious accident." Gasps rippled through the onlookers as Richard froze. His eyes widened in disbelief, then hardened with a cold fury that pierced the air. Without a word, he turned on his heel and dashed down the street, leaving chaos in his wake. Sofia caught her breath. "What just happened?" she breathed, shock coursing through her veins. What? What do you mean, his wife?" Maya whispered, eyes narrowing. "Are you—" But before Maya could finish, another voice rang out. A voice familiar and haunting. "Sofia." The world shifted. It was Gabriel's mother, standing at the edge of the crowd, face pale and eyes wild. "I need to talk to you, now." "What are you doing here?" Sofia asked, heart pounding. Everything felt tangled, like a web she couldn't escape. "Believe me, this is more important than you think. You don't know who you're dealing with." Sofia's mind raced. Who was she? What did she mean? And as she looked back at her mother, gasping for breath, the terrifying reality crashed down. The lies, the twisted truths, the heart of their lives. Everything was about to unravel, and she felt like she was standing on the edge of a cliff. Would this revelation consume her? Would it tear her from the roots of the fairy tale, leaving her lost in the storm forever? Silence fell briefly, the sirens wailing, the crowd's murmurs fading. The truth loomed heavy in the air, threatening to shatter their universe once and for all. What was about to unfold? And what secrets would be revealed that could change everything? Sofia stood still, the buzzing city fading around her. Gabriel's mother's voice hung in the air, thick with urgency. "I need to talk to you, now." Sofia's heart raced. "Talk about what?" she shot back, the weight of her secrets pressing down harder than ever. Panic gripped her. Everything felt like a snare tightening around her, squeezing the very breath from her lungs. "Come with me," she insisted, glancing over her shoulder, almost nervous of what was approaching. "There are things you don't know about Gabriel, about your mother." Lucy gasped, struggling to hold on, kneeling on the pavement, her breath coming in ragged bursts. Chaos churned around them, but the world narrowed until only the three of them existed. They needed an emergency team, but here was this woman, standing in the storm, intent on weaving new threads of truth. Another scream erupted nearby, pulling Sofia's gaze. A man was shouting, pointing a finger at a figure in the distance. "Get away from that woman! She's dangerous!" A ripple of tension spread through the crowd, heads turning, whispers rising. Sofia's heart thudded. Everyone was on edge, but it was the fear mingled with disbelief that made the atmosphere electric. Gabriel's mother peered into Sofia's eyes, a flicker of something shifting beneath her controlled facade. "You need to hear this, Sofia, before it's too late." "Before what's too late?" she demanded, panic coating her voice like a shroud. But before she could respond, a furious cry pierced the air. "No, you're lying!" Another figure rushed in, a man, tall and imposing, Gabriel stepped out of the shadows, eyes wild, a storm brewing behind them. "Get away from her," he shouted, pointing at his mother, his voice cracking with urgency. "You don't know what you're talking about." Sofia's heart dropped. Every secret, every deception danced on the edge of revelation. Truth hung between them, heavy and suffocating. "Gabriel, please," she pleaded, tears blurring her vision. "What's going on?" "Stay out of this, Sofia. Just let my mother explain." His frustration boiled over. But the way he looked at her, conflicted, desperate, pierced her deeper than the chaos that surrounded them. Then, as if scripted by fate, the crowd split. A woman emerged, unsteady yet fierce. It was her sister Maya, rushing to her side. "Sofia, Mom, I got the paramedics. They'll be here soon." Lucy's fragile hand went limp, and Sofia's breath stopped. The world felt like it tilted, a pendulum caught in slow motion. Then, a horrifying sound, a crack, a thud, and confusion erupted. Glass shattered as a truck careened down the street, tires screeching, veering dangerously off course. "Sofia!" Gabriel lunged, grabbing her and pulling her out of the path just as the truck hit a lamppost, sending metal and debris flying. Time stood still. Dust and smoke billowed, obscuring everything. The crowd gasped, collective breath hitching in shock. Then silence, as if the world paused to take stock of what had just happened. And then came the whispers. "Is it true? Was it really her?" They filled the air, a haunting sound echoing through the stillness. Sofia turned, eyes wide. "What are you talking about?" She was breathless. "Is it true she's the one who—" Gabriel's mother stepped forward, voice trembling. "Sofia, you don't realize the connection between our families." "Connection?" Sofia's voice was barely a whisper. Confusion turned to dread as she grasped for answers. But the pain in her chest grew sharper, an agonizing twist. Everything she thought she understood began to unravel. The truth? It was changing. And then the wail of sirens pierced the tension, a harbinger of chaos that felt like a curtain lifting on a dark stage. If she thought she had it all figured out, she was wrong. Everything they had constructed together, love, lies, futures, was crumbling before her. What had she stepped into? What secrets danced on the edge of that chaos? In that moment, as questions spiraled and uncertainty loomed, Sofia stood on the brink of revelation, the weight of it all crashing down. Would the truth break her, or could it finally set her free? Sofia stood there, the buzzing city fading around her. Gabriel's mother's voice hung in the air, thick with urgency. "I need to talk to you, now." Sofia's heart raced. "Talk about what?" she shot back, feeling her pulse quicken. Panic gripped her. Everything felt like a trap, squeezing the breath from her lungs. "Come with me," she insisted, glancing over her shoulder, almost nervous of what was approaching. "There are things you don't know. About Gabriel. About your mother." Lucy gasped, struggling to hold on, kneeling on the pavement, her breath coming in ragged bursts. Chaos churned around them, but the world narrowed until only the three of them existed. They needed an emergency team, but here was this woman, standing in the storm, intent on weaving new threads of truth. Another scream erupted nearby. "Get away from that woman! She's dangerous!" A ripple of tension spread through the crowd. Heads turning, whispers rising. Sofia's heart thudded. Everyone was on edge, but it was the fear mingled with disbelief that made the atmosphere electric. Gabriel's mother peered into Sofia's eyes. "You need to hear this, Sofia, before it's too late." "Before what's too late?" Her voice trembled. But before she could respond, another figure rushed in. Gabriel, tall and wide-eyed, pushing through the crowd. "Get away from her," he shouted. "You don't know what you're talking about." Sofia felt her heart drop. Every secret, every deception danced on the edge of revelation. Truth hung between them, heavy and suffocating. "Gabriel, please," she pleaded, tears blurring her vision. "What's going on?" "Stay out of this, Sofia. Just let my mother explain." His frustration boiled over, anger flashing in his eyes. But the look he gave her, conflicted and desperate, pierced deeper than the chaos surrounding them. Then, as if scripted by fate, the crowd split in two. A woman emerged, unsteady but fierce. It was Maya, rushing to her side. "Sofia! Mom! I got the paramedics! They'll be here soon!" Lucy's fragile hand went limp, and Sofia's breath caught. The world felt like it tilted, a pendulum caught in slow motion. Then, a horrific sound. A crack, a thud, and chaos erupted. Glass shattered as a truck careened down the street, tires screeching, veering wildly off course. "Sofia!" Gabriel launched forward, pulling her out of the path, just as the truck barreled past, crashing into a lamppost. Metal crunched and debris flew. Time stood still. Dust and smoke filled the air, obscuring everything. The crowd gasped, collective breath hitching in shock. Then came the whispers. "Is it true? Was it really her?" The murmurs spiraled through the crowd, a haunting echo. Sofia turned, eyes wide. "What are you talking about?" She was breathless. "Is it true she's the one who—" Gabriel's mother stepped forward, voice shaking. "Sofia, you don't realize the connection between our families." "Connection?" Sofia's voice wavered, confusion morphing into a cold dread. As they spoke, a tall man emerged from the crowd, a figure cloaked in authority. He strode toward them, face contorted with an eerie calm. "Stop this nonsense right now. You're all making a mistake." "Sofia, listen," Maya interjected, stepping up. "Don't trust him." But before Sofia could fully comprehend, the man turned sharply, revealing a silver badge. "I'm Detective Harris. We need to talk about your mother." "What?" Sofia's heart slammed against her ribcage, panic washing over her. "What do you mean?" "Your mother is involved in something far more dangerous than you realize," he said, voice low and urgent. "Dangerous?" Sofia shook her head, disbelief flooding through. What do you mean? She's just my mother." But the detective's eyes were grim. "I'm sorry. You need to understand. Lucy has been hiding secrets about her past. It connects to the accident." "Accident?" Sofia stumbled back, the ground feeling unsteady beneath her. "What are you talking about?" Then came the twist. His expression turned grave. Last year, she was a witness in a major case. A case that involved— The sirens approached, drowning out his words. What they lingered heavy in the air, unraveling everything. The truth dangled on the edge of chaos. Sofia's chest tightened. She had no idea what to believe anymore. The world felt like it was slipping away. And in that moment, the uncertainty crept in. What had her mother been hiding? What danger loomed ahead? The pieces of her life scattered like leaves in the wind, and she was left standing, teetering on the brink of a terrifying unknown. Sofia stood there, the buzzing city fading around her. Gabriel's mother's voice hung in the air, thick with urgency. "I need to talk to you, now." Sofia's heart raced. "Talk about what?" she shot back, feeling her pulse quicken. Panic gripped her, and everything felt like a trap, squeezing the breath from her lungs. "Come with me," she insisted, glancing over her shoulder, her eyes darting nervously. "There are things you don't know. About Gabriel, about your mother." Lucy gasped, still struggling to breathe in the chaos. It was as if time twisted around the three of them, focused and heavy. They needed help, yet here stood Gabriel's mother, weaving threads of truth through a storm. Then another scream erupted, jagged in the air. "Get away from that woman! She's dangerous!" Panic rippled through the crowd, heads turning, whispers rising. Sofia's heart pounded, fear mingled with disbelief, thickening the atmosphere. Gabriel's mother looked deep into Sofia's eyes. "You need to hear this, Sofia. Before it's too late." "Before what's too late?" Her voice trembled, holding on to threads of confusion. But before she could respond, Gabriel rushed in, eyes wide, fear rivaling everything around them. "Get away from her!" he shouted. "You don't know what you're talking about." Sofia felt her heart drop, every lodge secret ready to spill. "What is going on, Gabriel?" Just let my mother explain." His frustration boiled over and his eyes sparked with anger and desperation. Suddenly, the crowd split, revealing a tall man pushing through. Detective Harris, cloaked in authority, continued his approach. "Stop this nonsense right now. We need to talk about your mother." "What?" Sofia's breath quickened, panic rising. "What do you mean?" "Your mother is involved in something far more dangerous than you realize," he said, urgency heavy in his tone. "Dangerous?" Sofia stumbled back, the ground feeling unsteady beneath her. "What do you mean? She's just my mother." His look was grim. Last year, she was a witness in a major case, connected to something that happened at the docks. The sound of sirens drew closer, drowning out his words but weighing heavily on Sofia. Suddenly, just like that, a loud crash echoed from the other end of the street. A black SUV tore through the crowd. People screamed and scattered as it swerved past, barreling toward them. "Get down!" Gabriel shouted, grabbing Sofia and pulling her against him just as the truck slammed into a lamppost. Metal crunching under the force, and glass shattering everywhere. Dust and debris flew through the air, a thick fog billowing around them. Panting, shivering, they held each other tightly as the chaos erupted. Sofia pulled herself together, fear giving her a surge of adrenaline. Then she caught sight of something moving inside the haze. In a split second, a woman staggered from the driver's seat, disheveled, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead. Sofia's heart lurched as recognition hit. It was April, Gabriel's sister, the sister she never met but had heard whispers about. "April?" Gabriel's voice was a blend of concern and shock. "What are you doing here?" "They're coming for you. You have to listen to me." Her voice broke with urgency, frantic, and then the world slipped again. Detective Harris narrowed his eyes, moving forward. "You need to stay back," he warned, holding his badge up. "You don't know what you're tampering with." April stepped closer to Gabriel, desperate. "You don't understand. Mom kept it hidden, but it's all connected." Her breaths quickened, eyes wild with a fear that pierced the air like ice. "You're not safe. None of us are." The onlookers stirred restlessly, murmurs of confusion swirling like a storm, tension crackling. Sofia felt her chest tighten, disbelief hanging palpably in the air. What are you talking about?" she whispered, shaking her head. But before April could answer, something flickered across the crowd, a figure darting toward them, eyes dark and intent. "You've all meddled too much," he growled, voice low and threatening. In his hand, he held a gun, glinting ominously. Fear gripped Sofia. The world spun, and she couldn't catch her breath. Amid the chaos, the crowd gasped collectively, a hush sweeping across the faces. Who was he? What did he want? Sofia's mind raced, and every truth she clung to frayed at the edges. What secrets lay buried beneath their lives? The truth was one breath away, ready to transform everything. And in that moment, Sofia felt a void open in her heart. Would this be the moment that changed everything forever? Sofia stood there, breath caught in her throat, her eyes locked onto the man brandishing the gun. The crowd around her held its breath, fear radiating like heat from a fire. Gabriel's voice broke through the tension. "What do you want?" he shouted, stepping protectively in front of Sofia, his fists clenched tight. The man's gaze flickered between them, cold and calculating. "You're all in danger," he spat, his finger hovering dangerously close to the trigger. "But that's not my concern." "Then what is?" April cried out, her voice shaky but fierce. "Just let us go." But the man's lips curled into a cruel smirk. "No, you don't understand. I'm here for all of you, but only one of you will get out of this alive. And your mother," he pointed at Sofia, "has something very important that belongs to me." Sofia's heart raced. A cold dread washed over her. What could her mother possibly have that would matter to this man? It felt like the floor dropped out from beneath her. "What do you mean?" she stammered, her voice trembling. But before he could answer, a loud bang echoed down the street, a gunshot, followed by chaos as people screamed and scrambled for safety. In the confusion, the man turned his attention momentarily away from Sofia. That's when she saw it, the flicker of recognition in his eyes, a spark that flickered before he resumed his intimidating stance. Suddenly, another figure emerged from the crowd, rushing toward the man. This time, it was Detective Harris, urgent and commanding. "Put the weapon down. You're surrounded." "What the hell is going on?" April yelled, panic lacing her words. Sofia could feel her hands shaking, her body taut as she tried to process. "Everything." The man smirked and ricocheted between the two, visibly amused. "Surrounded? I choose when this ends." He raised his gun higher, and in that moment, time seemed to stretch, everything slowing, as if anticipating the impending disaster. Then, an unexpected sound. A familiar voice broke through, strong and steady. "Stop! Put the gun down, Kevin." It was Lucy, Sofia's mother, standing in the midst of all the chaos, her eyes locked onto the man, as if he were the only person in the world. Sofia's heart skipped a beat. "Mom!" she screamed, but fear consumed her. "Lucy, how did you—" Harris's question faltered, surprise crossing his face, but there was something in Kevin's gaze. It shifted from aggressiveness to something, akin to longing. "You shouldn't be here," he shot back, his voice narrowing like a knife. "Enough," Lucy said, her tone firm, commanding. "You may think you have power here, but you don't understand what you're playing with." "What are you talking about?" Gabriel demanded, eyes darting between Lucy and Kevin. But in an instant, it happened. Kevin turned the gun toward Lucy, his face of betrayal and realization fierce. "How could you hide this from me? It was supposed to be ours." "Mom, what is going on?" Sofia's voice cracked. Confusion flooded her. "I didn't want this," Lucy whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. "You were too young to understand. I thought I was protecting you." And with that statement, a holy storm erupted in Sofia's mind. What had been hidden swept into the open like floodwaters. Relationships shifted, identities warped, and everything she thought she knew about her family felt like a gaping hole in her heart. Kevin's voice rang out again, low and dangerous. "You've made your choices, Lucy. Now, I'll make mine." Suddenly, chaos erupted again. Another shout from the crowd, then a loud explosion nearby. It ripped through the air, shaking the ground beneath them. The force threw Sofia to the ground, the world around her erupting into blinding light. As darkness closed in, she felt all the threads they had woven snap. Everything shifted. Love, betrayal, hope, and fear collided. And just like that, she lost sight of everything familiar, left hanging over a chasm of uncertainty. What had Lucy kept hidden? Who was Kevin really? And how would any of them ever find their way back? The weight of it all loomed, dark and heavy, as the truth spiraled beyond reach, leaving Sofia lost in the shadows of what had just been revealed. Sofia lay on the ground, disoriented, as dust swirled around her. The gunshot echoed in her mind, everything dancing in flashes of white noise. Panic gripped her heart, squeezing tighter as she pushed herself up. Around her, chaos erupted. Voices screamed and cried, the crowd scattering like leaves in the wind. "Mom!" Sofia shouted, but her voice registered as a distant echo. In the maelstrom, the sight of Lucy crumpled on the ground shook her to her core. The moment hung thick in the air, the weight of revelations pulling gravity in all directions. The detective was barking orders amidst the frenzy, trying to contain the confusion. Gabriel's figure loomed near her, protective, yet still battling his own shock. April staggered, blinking back tears, her voice shaking. "Why didn't you tell us, Mom? Why?" "Enough." Kevin's voice sliced through the air, laced with desperation. "You all don't know what this is about. Don't you understand? I had to wait, and now it's too late." Before Sofia could gather her thoughts, Lucy's eyes locked onto Sofia's in a way they never had before. "You need to know, Sofia," she whispered, voice trembling. "I did it for you, all these years." "Did what?" Sofia's heart raced, the pieces of her reality crumbling to dust. But before Lucy could reply, the air shifted again. The rumble of an approaching vehicle drowned her words, drawing Sofia's attention. A black van sped down the street, tires screeching, leaving behind a trail of chaos. "Get down!" someone yelled, another figure diving out of the way as the van swerved violently. Gabriel instinctively grabbed Sofia, pulling her closer as the van skidded to a stop. The doors flung open, and figures in dark uniforms stepped out, a whirlwind of authority and panic. "Get back," one shouted, raising a device that glimmered ominously in the dim light. Sofia's heart raced. This wasn't supposed to happen. They were supposed to be talking about family secrets, about understanding. But now everything spiraled. One of the men approached, peeling off a mask that revealed a familiar face. Agent Thompson. His eyes shifted between Lucy and Sofia. Anxiety etched deep in his brow. "You don't know who you're dealing with," he said, voice tight. "We need to get you out of here, now." "What do you mean?" Sofia asked, shaking her head in disbelief. The world felt surreal, like a bad dream she couldn't wake from. But Thompson continued, urgency flooding his tone. "Lucy, your past is about to catch up with you. Those files you thought were buried? They're not gone. They've come back to haunt us." "Files?" Sofia's breath caught. "What files?" But before anyone could clarify, the ground shook. A loud explosion sounded from the distance, fiery and jarring. The light flickered, street lamps extinguishing under the sudden shockwave. Sofia stumbled back, gaining only a fleeting glimpse of Kevin's shocked expression before everything crumbled into chaos. "In the van!" Agent Thompson shouted, adrenaline fueling his words, but they felt hollow to Sofia. Could she trust him? Trust any of them? But from the distance, a shape emerged. Maya pushed through the dense crowd, wild-eyed and breathless. "Sofia, I found something. You need to see." "Maya, what do you mean?" Sofia called, confusion slicing through her panic. "Mom's not your only connection," Maya gasped, urgency heavy in her voice. "There's a reason Gabriel's family is involved. We have to go." The world spun again, each revelation steeped in layers of betrayal and hidden truths. As Sofia stared into Maya's frantic eyes, she felt the lines of her entire life shift. Suddenly, everything was in motion, each turn of fate spiraling out of control. The intensity of her mother's secrets, combined with the implications of Maya's words, felt like a punch to the gut. "What do you mean?" Sofia cried, desperation clawing at her throat, as the truth layered itself like fractured glass. But before anyone could answer, a second explosion rocked the ground, sending them all sprawling to the ground. A wave of dust and confusion filled the air. The shock threatened to shove Sofia into darkness, and she realized this moment would change them all. Who were they really? What familial bonds would hold in the aftermath of this chaos? Only questions remained as the world around them fell apart, leaving her teetering on the edge of truth and deception. Would she find the answers before it all shattered completely? Sofia pushed herself up, body trembling, heart racing. The dust settled, but chaos still draped the scene like a heavy blanket. Around her, the crowd was a blur, voices competing, panic escalating, lives hanging in the balance. Tears streamed down her face, a mix of fear and anger igniting a fire within her. "Mom!" she cried again, eyes flitting from Lucy to Kevin, trying to process everything, the revelations, the gun, the darkness threatening to swallow them all. "Get back!" Kevin shouted, retreating a step, his grip tightening on the weapon, eyes darting around, searching for an out. But Lucy, surprisingly calm, stood her ground. "You don't have to do this, Kevin," she said, voice steady, almost soothing. "This isn't who you are. The crowd shifted, whispers rippling through the air. Shock mingled with uncertainty. Each breath felt like a weight pressing down. "You don't know me," Kevin barked, rage bubbling dangerously close to the surface. "Don't I? Look at what you're doing," Lucy's eyes flashed. "This isn't the way to handle this. Violence won't give you what you want." In that moment, the air grew thick with emotion, raw and real. Sofia felt a swell of pride for her mother, but also overwhelming fear. Could they really reach him? Could anyone stop this madness? "Sofia!" Gabriel shouted, breaking through the chaos, voice filled with urgency as he pushed closer, but Lucy held up a hand, signaling him to stop. "Stay back. I need to do this." Kevin's expression shifted, uncertainty flickering through the rage. "Maya!" April's voice called from the shadows, trying to make her way through the thickening tension. "We need to get Sofia and your mom out of here." But the moment hung, fragile, like a thread ready to snap. "Why?" Kevin shouted, eyes wild. "Why should I listen to any of you?" Sofia, her heart pounding, felt compelled. "Because this isn't the end you want. Look around." She gestured to the people behind him, eyes filled with sincerity. "You're hurting innocent people for a past you can't possess." The crowd stilled. Silence washed over the chaos. Every eye locked onto Kevin, waiting, breath held. Like a balloon pricked, something in Kevin deflated. He lowered the gun slightly, disbelief flooding his features. "What do you know about my past?" "Maybe more than you think," Lucy replied, voice steady now. "I was there. I made mistakes. But we can still fix this. Let us help you." As the words settled, a flicker of humanity returned to Kevin's eyes. "Help? There's no fixing this. It's too far gone." But the energy shifted. Sofia pressed forward. "No, it's not. We can help you find your way back. Together. Together." Kevin's voice wavered. The weight of years of pain seemed to dissipate, if only for a moment. The grip on his gun slackened, uncertainty layered over anger. "That's right," Lucy said softly. "We're all human. We all make mistakes. But we can rise above them." Sofia reached out, inching closer, her heart pounding louder than the chaos around them. "Please, for all of us, let go of the past. Believe in something different." Then in a heartbeat, Kevin released his grip. The gun dropped, clattering harmlessly to the pavement. Breathing a sigh of relief, Sofia rushed to her mother, enveloping Lucy in an embrace, relief flooding over her as tears streamed down their faces. A chorus of gasps filled the air, people stepping back, unsure of what to do next. Suddenly, everything shifted again. The sirens came closer, lights flashing, the police finally arriving at the scene. They secured the area and moved in, ready to take charge of a situation that had felt impossible. As they swept forward, Sofia exchanged glances with Maya, Gabriel, and April, all of them relieved, willing to face whatever came next, together. "Thank you," Kevin whispered, finally revealing vulnerability. I didn't want this." "Neither did we," Lucy replied gently. "But we choose to stand together now. We're here for you." As they stood, united in the wake of chaos, something warm wrapped around them, a shared hope that lingered in the air. A new chapter was ready to be written, one filled with possibility. But questions still danced in the background. What lies ahead? What would happen to their intertwined lives? The uncertainty loomed, yet somehow felt lighter now. A fresh start offered glimmers of hope, but fears still lingered. As the sirens dimmed and the sun began to set, illuminating a path forward, Sofia made a vow. They would tackle the truth, together, no more hiding, no more lies. Once a broken family, now rising from the ashes, they would face whatever storms awaited them and come out stronger than before. And dear friends, as this incredible journey unfolds beyond this page, you need to subscribe now to catch each twist and turn. This is the moment to show your support. You must smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and ensure more stories come your way. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this finale. Trust me, you'll want to stay connected as the story continues.